Michigan set to wrap up its first ever spring session under Kyle Whittingham on Saturday with the annual Maize and Blue spring game. Hope is eternal this time of year, and expectations never change in Ann Arbor, a challenge this group says they embrace and plan to take the next step toward conquering during Saturday's scrimmage.
You've worked all spring ball camp just competing against each other. It's really just a chance to go showcase your skills on a grander stage, you know.
Obviously, 14 practices is going to outweigh one Saturday for an hour, like you said, exhibition. But to go have fun with it and show we're legit. We got a new staff, fresh start, spirits are high. We've had a great spring ball, so I just want them to kind of feel that energy watching us play on Saturday.
Welcome Jerry DiNardo back into the fold. Jerry, it's interesting to hear the players talk about the new staff because Kyle Whittingham is obviously the front-facing member of that staff, a guy who did unbelievable things for 2 decades at Utah. And in today's day and age of basically unlimited staffs, he actually left a lot of that Ute staff back at Utah. But even perhaps more importantly, he kept a couple of very important holdovers from last year's staff on his staff in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, no doubt, and we're gonna talk about that stuff in a second, Rick. But you know, here's something that we really have to address. Kyle Whittingham and Urban Meyer are very good friends, right? Kyle worked for Urban when Urban was the head coach at Utah. Are they good enough friends where Urban Meyer is going to start calling Michigan, Michigan? I think we really have to follow that story. Let's see how close they are in friendship. But you're right. They brought 7 full-time coaches from Utah, and I think there's 16 new staff members that had not worked with Kyle Whittingham last year at Utah. So not only is the team being exposed to a new staff and a new system, you know, Kyle Whittingham has work to do with his staff. You mentioned keeping a couple guys, Kerry Coombs and Tony Alford, 2 guys that have been at Ohio State, have been in the Big Ten footprint most of their coaching career, are going to be very valuable to Coach Whittingham. They're going to have some conference history, some institutional history, some things that aren't so obvious. We're going to talk about recruiting here in a minute. Where should we recruit it? Where should we recruit? What areas are Michigan friendly, if you will? So only 7 came, but I think the 2 holdovers with Alfred and Coombs are really a big positive step for Kyle Whittingham.
Perhaps more important than coaches returning, players returning. None, obviously, under the microscope more than sophomore quarterback Bryce Underwood. And there will be questions this year. You go into the second year, it's supposed to be your biggest year of growth, but you also have to deal with all the changes to this staff and an offense that will look a little bit different. Any concerns, Jerry, about that growth getting slowed down more than it would with a continuous staff?
Yes, there is concern because in a normal situation, this would be the second year that Underwood was under the same system. So he gets there in the spring last year, young guy, tremendous publicity, highest ranked quarterback in the country, all the accolades he had as a recruit. He learned the system of Michigan offense last year. Now he has to learn it all over again. The toughest thing about breaking in a young quarterback, Rick, is this. He's not going to get sacked in spring practice, right? I mean, if you ever hurt a valuable quarterback in spring practice, you couldn't live with yourself as a coach. So his eyes are always going to be downfield reading coverage. The issue is once the season starts, there's pressure, and now he obviously is going to be hit. And do his eyes stay downfield, or does he start looking at the rush? And so that process is really slow for a young quarterback. The good news is he's not a young guy anymore. The bad news is he's learning the second new system in 2 years.
Kyle Whittingham did say, we are going to run Bryce Underwood. We're not going to put him in harm's way, but he has to run for us to be successful. The schedule, obviously, also always a huge part of success for any team, and Michigan is no exception. Like Ohio State, though, their non-conference is not exactly easy because they've agreed to play a tough home-and-home. This year, it is at home against Oklahoma, but it's not so much the schedule, Jerry, as the perception of the schedule that Kyle Whittingham inherits and understanding who your biggest rival is and who some other teams want your biggest rivals to be.
Right. Okay, Rick, we're talking about Michigan State, right? So Michigan's rival is Ohio State. Whoever the coach is, they understand that. That is the historic rival. It's the one everybody talks about. It's the last game every year. But there's also another team in East Lansing that's a rival. And the balance that the head coach at Michigan has to manage, in my opinion, is he's never going to say that the Ohio State rivalry isn't the biggest rivalry, but you have to do it in a way where you make the Michigan State people feel like, well, wait a second, we're an hour and a half away. We're not, and as we know, Mark D'Antonio played this card with aces. I mean, that's how he had success against Michigan, by playing that card that they have one rival, and Michigan doesn't even consider us their most significant rival. So again, new staff. Tony Alfred, Kerry Coombs, that's something that's going to be shared in the staff room, because you have to really navigate that if you're the head coach at Michigan.
And I think those two guys and any holdover is vitally important, Jerry, when it comes to recruiting, because I'm not saying that Kyle Whittingham is going to struggle recruiting, but this is a new area. It's an area you don't really dip in when you're at Utah. This is a new venue for him. He is going to different geographic footprints. It is harder for him coming from a different league and a different region than it would be for another established head coach who is coming from somewhere closer to where Michigan traditionally recruits.
Correct. And it's not what areas to recruit. It's not necessarily the organization in recruiting. We have general managers now. We have big-time staffs. What is valuable is the assistant coaches getting to know the high school coaches. And Tony and Kerry know the high school coaches. And so most of the staff at Michigan will be walking into a high school that they've never been in before. And that's the thing that gets lost in the translation. And that's why the two holdovers are so important. They know what high schools are Michigan friendly. I could tell you from recruiting all my life, I mean, it's different in every high school. And if you've made a mistake 2 years ago representing Michigan, your high school coaches don't forget that. If you've taken a prospect that maybe was only a 3-star and you took him because the head coach said, I guarantee you he'll start as a sophomore, those are good things that happen in the recruiting. So it's not the organization, it's not where they're going to recruit. It's just until the new coaches at Michigan start visiting all the high schools, and that's going to take a couple years. So Michigan's a big brand, and they'll do fine recruiting, but there's some work to be done there.
No question. I mean, like Ohio State, like some of the other biggest programs in the country, Michigan may be located in Michigan, but they recruit nationwide. I mean, that everybody across the country wants to play football at Michigan. Just a slightly different animal for Kyle Whittingham, though, as I said, a guy who's done it for a long time with a remarkable level of success. You expect nothing less with the talent that he will have in Ann Arbor.